Pokémon Sun and Moon Tips, Tricks and Secrets Guide. Pokémon Sun and Moon are finally here, in the US at least, so it's time to start getting into the nitty-gritty of getting the most out of your Poke friends and the new game. Whether you buy Sun or Moon, there are plenty of tips and tricks to make your Pokémon stronger and your journey more interesting, or just plenty of secrets to know to boast about to your mates. We've put together a basic guide to get you started for Pokémon Sun and Moon, divided into easy sections to keep things accessible. Pokémon 1. Battling Pokémon repeatedly is helpful. Now we know that battling the same Pokémon over and over again can be a bit of a bore, but in Pokémon Sun and Moon you actually gain some advantage from fighting the same Pokémon again. That's because you now get indicators on how effective each of your Pokémon's moves will be against that foe if you've battled them before. Their effectiveness ranges from super effective through to not very effective and even no effect, especially when you're battling a ghost-type Pokémon. It's especially useful when you've got to face a more powerful version of something you've seen earlier, so keep an eye on those indicators. 2. Check your Pokémon's stat effects mid-battle. Another tweak Pokémon Sun and Moon have made to battling is being able to check the stats of your Pokémon mid-battle. You might want to check the evasiveness of your Pokémon, whether its attack has been affected or your defense or any of the other stats of your Pokémon. Well, you can now do this mid-battle by tapping the little replica of your Pokémon in the center of the battle screen. It's here that all your Pokémon's stats will show up along with indicators as to the affected stats. It's incredibly useful as it'll affect the way your Pokémon battles, so you may need to switch them out or use an X attack or something. 3. Scan some QR codes. There's a new feature hidden in the menu that lets you scan QR codes you find in the real world to unlock non-Alolan Pokémon in your game and catch Poke friends like Charmeleon in Pokémon Sun and Moon. Each QR code you scan will give you info on a Pokémon you can't usually find in Alola. Every 10 you scan, you can run an island scan, and it'll spawn one of those Pokémon into the islands. We've had great success doing this around the first island, catching critters like Chikorita and Bulbasaur. 4. Don't expect to see non-Alolan variants. Sadly it seems that you can't natively catch original versions of Alolan Pokémon in Pokémon Sun and Moon, although some trainers will have them to battle against you, including the normal version of Vulpix, but we haven't seen them anywhere in the game. And trust us, we've looked. 5. Not all Z moves are equal. All the Z moves that you can unlock with the Z crystals you get as you complete trials aren't all as powerful as each other. Try them out on some wild critters, work out which ones are best for your team and work accordingly. Just don't be surprised if some of them aren't one-hit KOs. 6. Try Wonder Trade. Wonder Trade is a bit like a lucky dip but with Pokémon. You put a Pokémon in and then you'll get another one back in return from another real-life player somewhere in the world. What you get back though is totally random, so it's a bit of a risk, but also good fun and a great way of getting Pokémon you've not yet caught for your Pokédex. Alola. 7. Change your Oricoreo's type using nectar from each island. Oricoreo is a brand new Pokémon for Pokémon Sun and Moon and it's kind of like a package deal. Catch one of these new feathery friends and you actually get 4 Pokémon in one. Each island is home to a certain color of nectar, and giving any of the nectar samples you find to Oricoreo actually changes its type and behavior, meaning you can adapt it to every major battle before you start fighting. 8. Collect the green floating flecks. All around Alola there are floaty green flecks lingering behind buildings, near bushes and rocks and other locations. Watch out for them and collect every one you find because they're not snot bubbles. They're actually Zygarde cells that you can use to create your very own Pokémon. As most of you will probably know from Pokémon X and Y, Zygarde is quite a special Pokémon that comes in various forms according to the amount of Zygarde cores and Zygarde cells you have. Zygarde cores act as the brains of Zygarde while the Zygarde cells decide what Zygarde's form will be -10%. 50% or 100%. The more Zygarde cells you collect around Alola, the bigger the form you can create and the more moves you can teach it. So get collecting. Pokémon Refresh. 9. Huddles make for stronger Pokémon. There's a brand new feature called Pokémon Refresh that you can access after battles within the main menu that allows you to bond with your Pokémon. It's basically a better version of Pokémon Amy from Pokémon X and Y, and the higher your relationship rating, it's mapped out in hearts from 0 to 5. The more XP they learn in battle, the more likely they'll be to make their attacks hit or avoid incoming attacks, or even snap out of confusion or hold out with 1 horsepower after what should have been a one-hit KO. Feed them poke bins, make sure they're clean, give them a little scratch under the chin. Do whatever you can to make your Pokémon love you, and although you might feel a bit stupid brushing the dirt off your Rockruff on the tube, the bond you build between you and your team will be more than worth it. 10. Forget about buying antidotes, paralysis heals, etc. Game Addicts subscribes for more videos.